Okay, this fly right here I call a laying carder because I'm going to tie it with beautiful turkey feather that my friend Lane Carter from Montrose, Colorado gave me using the mottled portion of the turkey. And this is going to be a Lane Carter turkey hopper. We're going to start off with a piece of Antron yarn. This is a Chartreuse Antron. Wind it back here, pull it out a little bit, and clean it off right here. Back it this way, and I'm going to go ahead and tie this off at this point. And I'm going to cut the thread, and I'll restart the thread in a second. Now, I would like at this point to put some head cement on these wraps. And I'm going to go ahead and run some up the hook this way. This is a piece of mylar tubing. I removed the core. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to flare it out like this. As you can see, it's already got a lot of flash to it, but when you pick this out like this, it gives it even more sparkle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to thread it up and over the eye of the hook, and I'm going to push it back to where it's resting about like that, so that my tail's still sticking out, so you can still see the chartreuse. I might start it by pushing it back a little bit to begin with. Come in here, put a couple of wraps in here. What I want to do here is make some bindings here that when I wind over the mylar is going to keep that mylar from spinning. So from here, wind up like this. And wind back just a little bit. And go ahead and wrap that down good. Now I've got another piece of Antron. This is a piece of white Antron sparkle yarn. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to comb it out like that. Turn it the other direction and do the same thing. I'm going to put it on top of the hook, soft wrap to catch it, bind it down. I'm going to fold this piece back on top with it like this, and I'm going to bind that down. Now, this is going to be a hopper pattern that's going to have the appearance of a kind of a summertime grasshopper who's kind of beat up and he's landed in the water and his days are just about over. For my turkey feather, I want to come in here and I'm going to cut a wedge out like that. Now you'll notice the turkey feather has one side that's shiny and one side that's dull. We're going to put the shiny side on the outside. You're going to lay it on the outside like that, holding this in place. What I want to do is come over it and just snare it and bind it down, keeping it on the outside like that. Go ahead and clean that one up. Now I'm going to cut another piece out of my flat, just like that one. So I'm going to take it from the other side of the feather. Put it on the outside this way. Same thing, you have your shiny side. Pinch that there, catch it like that, and we're going to wind back. Now I'm going to pull it back to where all my wings are going to be about profiled the same, and I'm going to trim off that outside piece. Now some of the prettier hackle feathers are the pretty grizzly. Now, I'm not so worried about this being so much of a dry fly as a fly that'll ride kind of in the film. So I'm not so worried about there being a little bit of webbing in here. So I'm going to come underneath the hook, tie this off, wrap it forward, trim off that stem. I like to put a little bit of head cement underneath the hackle. A little head cement underneath the hackle will make that hackle last a lot better. Take my teardrop pliers, and I'm going to go ahead and start some wraps here. And I will palmer this hackle, which is to wrap it this way. And I want to make this pretty brushy. Come back to here. I'm going to wrap it back, unwind a little bit to it this way, loop it over here, catch it under there like that. I'm not worried that I've actually caught a couple of the hackle fibers in here because I'm going to wind another hackle in front of it. I've left room for a second hackle. Now, this is what's called a furnace hackle. Furnace is some of the prettiest hackle that there is. Really beautiful stuff. So I'm going to put a furnace hackle on the front. Same thing with the teardrop pliers. Now I'm going to take the furnace and I'm actually going to wind back toward my first hackle, and I want to actually weave it into the first or second round of that hackle, and then I'm going to bring it out in front of it and I'm going to wind it on forward. Loop it. Oops, dropped it. That happens sometimes. If it happens, you just catch it again. You go back at it. Loop your pliers or your tying thread. Clean it up. Pull all this back and wind it down. Sometimes when you double the hackles like that, you get a few stray ones. If you do, it's not a problem. You can actually leave them there, or we'll go ahead and clean them up for the sake of making it look a little better. Come back, finish it up with a good whip finish. Now, since I'm making this fly to sit down in the film, I'm going to come along here and I'm going to trim off the bottom right here. One spot of head cement on the final knot. And there we have it, a Lane Corner turkey hopper.